Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good evening, good early morning. It is early Friday morning here, about almost 1 a.m. California time, December 15, 2023 here Friday. Out here with Missy Mimi's in the background.
How's it going, guys?
We are just kind of staying up late, just watching all the space weather activity and whatnot. 1.7 earthquake in the Alaska area is the latest earthquake there on the globe. We are just coming down from a pretty large earthquake, or a large solar flare once again, an M flare kicking up here in the last few minutes from an M6.9. Now this activity comes following a pretty large X flare earlier this morning. In fact, the largest flare since about 2017, right there, peaking up at 2.8, X 2.8. Goodness. So we still are looking at the potential for some stronger flaring from that sunspot region, which is currently flaring right now. We can see that. I need to capture that real quick before it disappears, because that is the current M flare that is peaking out right there from sunspot number 3514. That is the culprit. It's definitely growing out here. It's looking pretty fancy in terms of dynamic activity. Look at this. Look at this trail of activity here around the western limb now of the sun. That is very dynamic. That does pose some threats for some further X flaring, and of course the M flare activity that we just seen here in the last few minutes. But that is probably about the only region right now of worry. Coming out across the eastern limb of the sun, it looks pretty minimal for now, but goodness. Looking at the potential arrival of some CMEs from this last couple last events here, showing that at least two potential CMEs hitting Earth. Earth right here is in the green little dot. Not looking at anything major. Now, of course, that X flare is a pretty major event, but there was not a significant eruptive event with that X flare, at least not in the Earth direction. So that's why we're not looking at anything major hitting the Earth. Far as the potential for the aurora forecast here, currently seeing some elevated conditions here across the higher latitudes, polar regions, but mainly up in Alaska and the Canada region. There's some of that radio blackout being observed from the current M flare that's kicking up from that far side sunspot right here. It just does not want to give up. All right, let's see what else we got here for earthquake activity across the California region around the Bay Area. We've got one little earthquake here in the Santa Ramon area, 2.3. But for the most part, not seeing anything major going on out here across Southern California. Just a handful of smaller earthquakes here across the Brawley seismic zone, and the typical zones up here around Yellowstone, and of course out here in Pecos, Texas. That's a pretty interesting spot of earthquake activity. Just looking at the last 30 days of earthquake activity here, about 575. And they've seen quite the swarm going on out here across the area recently. Just quite a bit of stress up here against the North American plate. Over here in Hawaii, still seeing some activity across the Kilauea volcano southward into Pahala. That activity is just one of those events where we're just kind of watching, seeing how this plays out. Currently no eruption going on at the Kilauea volcano. Let's go ahead and check out the current tilt meter here across the area of Kilauea volcano, and see if we got anything going on here. Give it a second. Just kind of a little odd on occasion. Looks like we are dipping down here. Notice the last 2 days here of downward, or last 2 days, it seems like the last day here we've seen a downward trend. Over the last 30 days, showing a little bit of downward trend as well, with the last 2 days being observed. But not for sure if that's it. Potentially we could see a downward trend here for a day or two before another uprise of the inflation. That's just been how it is over the past 2 months or so. Currently we're still at, well, we're just maybe at or below the highest level observed in the last 5 years since the 2018 eruption there at the Kilauea volcano. That was a little bit more dramatic there outside of the crater region, over to the eastern areas of the Big Island. Aside from that, what do we got here for any larger scale movement? 1.5.3 out in the Mog Islands area, northern Mariana Islands region. Still seeing some earthquake activity here across the Philippines, as expected. Quite a few force stirring up there, and on the earthquake 3D globe, looks like a little bit of clustering going on once again here south into the Banda Sea region. Notice on the earthquake 3D globe getting quite a bit of deeper movement here across the Fiji and the Tonga Trench. That could amplify conditions here across the plate boundary. That includes the Philippines area as well. So we'll continue to watch that for some further uptick in earthquake activity. Aside from that, South America, seeing typical movement down here in the subduction zone around the Chile area. Quite a few 2s and 3s, and even a 4 or so stirring up in that area. I'm not for sure if we see anything above that. Maybe, well, looks like a 5.1 from earlier this morning underneath the San Antonio de los Cordes, Argentina region. That one a pretty deep earthquake there, almost 200 kilometers deep. There is that movement here across the Middle America Trench. Some 5 stirring up here just off the coast of Mexico and Guatemala. All right, what else we got here across the region? A couple earthquakes here across Turkey and Pakistan. Look at the earthquake 3D globe here. It does show some of that movement. Iceland activity. Well, I'm kind of waiting for Iceland to stir up here. We did see some earthquake activity ramping up out here southwest of Iceland here along this rift zone, a little bit further southwest of Grindavik, where we did see, well, looks like we've seen a 4-pointer stirring up here recently, one of the more recent earthquakes, along with quite a few 3s stirring up out here in this area. Waiting to see if this affects the region up here around the Grindavik area. For now, just seeing some very small earthquakes, microquakes across that region of concern. So we'll continue to watch potentially for some further uptick of magma intrusion across that area. The Storm Prediction Center doesn't have a whole lot of severe weather threat out there for now. Although here on Saturday, we do have the potential for some severe weather across portions of central Florida. Looks like mainly a 5% chance of tornado potential, along with some wind events going on out there. And for the folks that are following the weather outlook out here in the next coming weeks here across California, we are still looking at some sufficient rainfall out here across Northern California and Southern California, as well as we watch these storm systems kind of roll in here off the Pacific into California, spinning up the moisture as noted there on the map. Another low pressure system behind that, mainly hitting Southern California. But this looks to be a generalized pattern of storminess across the California area, at least through obviously through the end of the year. We'll see how November plays out, but we're looking at the potential for some wetter weather out here across the West Coast into January, February, and March as well. A look at the total accumulated precipitation amounts. Now, this goes up to about the end of the year, December 31st. And as you can see, there is definitely some decent rainfall totals. In fact, just outside of Chico here, looks like maybe some totals reaching around 6 inches of precipitation. Up in the mountains, snow level is going to be well above 8,000 feet at first, maybe dropping down a little bit with some of the colder systems coming in. But this is going to be a very wet pattern for the majority of California. Again, Southern California is getting in on the mix as well. But just a heads up, this could be maybe some concern for flooding as we head into the beginning of 2024. It is an El Nino year, and that means stronger, wetter systems here across the West Coast, and that's what's playing out right now. I'm going to show you guys the North Pacific out here. This is what drives these storm systems out here, the upper air dynamics. This is a jet stream. I'm going to go back here as we are right about now, December 15th or so. And here's some of these cutoff lows off of the main jet stream that will be slamming into the West Coast. But notice this linear pattern trying to strengthen and aiming right there. Look at that. A very significant jet stream aimed right at the California coast. That is going to bring some storminess and, of course, some precipitation out here to this area. And it looks to be the pattern here. It looks like this Pacific jet, this pattern wants to strengthen and continue potentially into the January time frame of next year. So no doubt it's definitely of interest out here, considering I live out here, and this is my type of weather. I want the storminess, that's for sure. I think Missy Mimi's can agree with me.
Oh, yes, definitely. We need it.
Well, it doesn't matter if we need it. I want it.
We want it, but we definitely also need it.
Yeah, I mean, any civilized society out here would need rainfall, right? Ones who complain about rainfall, well, you have to understand the significance and importance of rainfall accumulation and groundwater restorage. After all, society is draining the earth of the resources for sure. Let's see, nothing major going on here across Yellowstone. Looks pretty quiet. Look at the trimmer map here tonight across the Cascadia. Shows mainly southern area of the Cascadia subduction zone, showing about 92 epicenters of trimmer. Not a big deal at all. Not a big deal. But this has been an ongoing trend of lack of trimmer here recently, and that leads me to believe that everything is stuck up here across the subduction zone itself. The only reason why we get trimmer is due to pressure out here across the Pacific Northwest, Northern California. I think the pressure is there, but I think we're gaining some areas of concern out here across the area of the Cascadia subduction zone in terms of stress. We'll continue to watch that and see if anything pops up out here, but it's definitely been an interesting year in terms of trimmer, lack of trimmer for sure. Tomorrow, folks, well, today technically today, because it is Friday here, my time, and it's Friday for a lot of folks out here. We got the member drawing coming up here. So member drawing is held every 15th of the month. We give away some prizes there to the members. If you are not on board, I would suggest jumping on to be a member here on this channel. We get to provide you guys some extra videos, extra perks, extra emojis, icons, and of course the monthly drawing that's held here. And we've been doing it for over a year and a half now. So jump on board if you like to be entered into some drawings out there, and of course the extra stuff behind that. All the seismograph stations look pretty calm for now. Aside from that, almost 10 p.m. here, 23 Celsius. I'm not for sure what that is as far as Fahrenheit goes there, Timothy, but thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking in, Kathleen, as well. The update's coming right now, obviously, 12:39. Yeah, we're a little bit early in the morning. That means we're staying up later here on our time, but you know, it's just kind of one of those things. Occasionally we stay up late, occasionally we don't. I would love to be in bed at 8 o'clock every night, but that's not how things play out. All right, folks, we'll catch you guys back here later today, later Friday for the, well, obviously the morning update, and then we will do the drawing, which we have, last time I checked, we had about 70 members, so it's pretty decent, a little bit of an uptick from the last month. So we'll catch you guys back here later on today, later on Friday, for the update and, of course, the member drawing. So stay safe out there. Have a good night. Have a good night, Missy Mimis.
Have a good night, guys.
Peace out.